people around. Like he could potentially hit, other people in the crowd, hit the dog, hit a fellow officer. I mean, shit happens. Bullets ricochet. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. To me, I'm not just like knee jerk reaction. The girl's leaving. I shoot her in the head 3 times. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is precisely why, like, you're kind of speaking from a hindsight perspective of like all these other things that could have happened, right?
But
So
he's taking all that into account when he's in the situation, right? Like anytime you're, a law enforcement officer, you understand the situation. Like you don't fire your gun into a crowd of people. So if you're surrounded by a bunch of people, you should be less likely to, draw
yeah, I
your
mean that's
firearm.
that's a that's an easy shot to do, man. If she was a few feet away from him, she's right in front of him. Like that's not
Yep.
going to be that hard of a shoot. Like anybody that
No,
understands
no, but there's people and
race to
officers
point and
behind the
fire.
car. I'm just saying, like,
Of course, but these are rounds that typically aren't going to go through the individual. They use hollow points that stay in the body for that purpose. But like, they use the federal ammunition. But the point I'm trying to make is, bro, is like, again, we're speaking from a 2020 hindsight perspective. What he's going to be judged on: was there an imminent threat? Yes, you can articulate that a car is a deadly weapon. Proportionality: he used the gun versus the car, proportionate. And then, reasonableness: you can make the argument that this was absolutely a reasonable response to a vehicle coming at him. When you're in the academy, they teach you someone could close the distance on you in a knife very quickly. They teach you that a car is a deadly weapon. If somebody comes at you with a car, that's going to be serious bodily injury or death. So we can Monday morning quarterback it all day, but he's not going to be judged on what we're talking about. He's going to be judged on what were the facts known to him at the time. And the facts known to him at the time were they're doing an immigration enforcement operation. They told her multiple times to get out the way. She didn't comply. They try to get her out the vehicle. He draws his weapon. She still drives towards him. Whether the steering wheel will turn all the way to the right or not, he's not going to sit there and be like, oh, well, if I move 2 degrees over to the right, I might not get hit. No, he just didn't want to take any chances, and he shot at her while simultaneously moving out of the way to remove the threat. That's what they're trained for.
well, I mean,
And
he
with
fired
that
two
fact
rounds
pattern,
from
hold
the
on, with that fact,
side.
but
He
that's
fired.
irrelevant. With the
I mean,
fact pattern that I just presented, most people are going to say that that's reasonable. And then you said, hey, he shot from the side. What they're taught to do is to shoot to stop the threat. If that means 1 shot or 10 shots, that's irrelevant. Stop the threat. That's
yeah, but
what
what I'm saying is the threat is not a threat once the car passes him, right? Like it's no longer
you're
a
speaking
threat.
from a 2020. You're speaking from a 2020 hindsight perspective. You know it's not a threat now after looking at everything, but
Well,
you
but
don't
the
know.
car was, but Myron, the car wasn't moving. It's not like this car is barreling towards him at 50 miles an hour, and there's a crowd of people. There's some, threat behind him. It's like this car is at a standstill. She's leaving. I don't think her intention is trying to kill him. If I was in the situation as the officer, I wouldn't view this as like, oh, she's trying to kill me. I mean, she was smiling as a soccer mom. Like, I don't know, she's a fucking idiot. Obviously protesting, whatever. I'm sure he's annoyed by her. I'm sure they've had to deal with tons of these, idiot blue hair liberals, whatever. But I just don't think that it warranted shooting her in the fucking head. That's my opinion. I understand your stance. I feel like letter of the law, can he rationalize it? Yeah, you could say a car is a deadly weapon, whatever, but the car wasn't fucking moving, dude. You know what I mean? I've been hit by cars going 2 miles an hour. It's like if you're standing by a car and they floor the gas, like it's not, you know what I mean? Like it's not a serious threat to me, anyways. I can get out of the way of a car that's going from 0 to 3 miles an hour, relatively easily. I mean, this guy was able to get out of the way and fire shots, I mean, so I don't know. Like I said, I looked at it. My issue is more of just, I'm not against the fucking deportations. I'm obviously in favor of that. But I feel like this is an example of the government, shooting citizens. And I think you have to be careful, what you allow because it sets a precedent. And, what if ICE decides to start deporting anti-Semites? What if they deem, anti-Semites a threat to national security and these fucking guys show up at your doorstep? Now they kill you because they thought you were a threat. I'm just saying, like, you're setting a certain precedent. And if they actually want to get rid of these fucking illegals, I feel like they do a lot better job doing it. To me, a lot of this feels performative. We haven't seen like these mass deportations. I mean, they let fucking 10, 30 million illegals in. Like, we haven't even gotten rid of a million. It's been over a year. So I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously in favor of getting rid of all these fucking Somalians that are causing all this crime and whatever. But to
Well,
me,
how
this
how are they going to
wasn't.
do that if you got rambunctious, annoying people like her blocking them from doing their job? And that's like precisely the issue. Is like you're not going to get the mass deportations if you got a bunch of liberals literally impeding ICE agents from doing their jobs. They're following them around. They're reporting where they're at when they're doing the raids. Like this woman was literally committing a felony by impeding these guys. And when they try to get her out the car, and she refused, and then just put the car in drive and drove towards the guy. At that point, she forfeited her right to be looked at as a victim. Like you,
I mean,
if you
look,
give me
dude,
all the
arrest her.
information.
I get it. I'm not
Yeah,
about,
she
them
committed a felony,
impeding.
bro, and she was trying to run at them. So it's like they're gonna shoot. Like again, I know you're saying, hey, I wouldn't have shot, but that doesn't matter because what matters is did the guy act reasonable based on the facts for him? Someone might shoot, others might not shoot, but use of force isn't always perfect. What it comes down to was the use of force reasonable, and it's absolutely going to be considered reasonable, and he's going to be cleared. Like we can have our disagreements here all day, but the reality is, but when we look at the law and we look at how he behaved, given all the facts and circumstances known to him at the time, he's not going to go to jail for this. It was a lawful shoot, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I mean, I feel like more matters to me as far as, did the guy actually fear and, was he actually in fear of his life? What was the actual intent? To me, I'm not like black and white, I mean, cops can shoot people, sometimes it can be totally legal under the letter of the law, but there's, potentially ways
Yeah,
they could
and keep in
de-escalate
mind
it.
that her intention is irrelevant. Like all he can do, because since he can't read his mind, and this is a rapidly evolving event, all he could do is say, "I interpreted her actions as a danger to my safety." They gave
But
her
then,
lawful
but
commands,
then
stay out
why,
the
but
car,
then why is
drive,
he walking
and
in
she
front of the
drove over.
car? Why is
He
he,
was recording. He was recording the car at the time because to get the plate and all this other stuff.
the plate's
And
in the
then
back? They already
yeah, I
had
know,
that.
but they were also he's getting her on video as well too. So he's getting everything documented, and then that's when the guy comes over and says, "Hey, get out the car." And then she backs up and she drives it towards him. And you can see he gets surprised. He's trying to move to the side and he gets hit in the process and he shoots her. But again, this is a rapidly evolving event that's happening quickly. Like he's not going to look at the steering wheel like, oh, she had to turn this way, this many degrees. What it comes down to is, does he have a reasonable belief that that he could get serious bodily injury or be killed? And the answer is going to be yes. A car coming at you, whether 5 miles per hour or not, you don't know that. So, and what her
Well, he
intention
knows
was
the
is
car's at a
irrelevant.
standstill. He knows she put
Yeah,
it in
but
reverse.
her intention is irrelevant. If you drive a someone
Well,
after being lawful, after getting lawful commands given, and you don't obey, it's a wrap. Like you forfeited your ability to be treated in a certain way. Like they're going to shoot.
I mean, fleeing the police is not, an executable offense. Being an obnoxious liberal is not executable. You know what I mean? Like
But running your
impeding.
car into them as they're in front of you is.
I mean, yeah, I get like to me, she put it in reverse, turned the tires. If she wanted to hit him, she just would have floored it and gone right at him. Like the fact that she put it in reverse. If I'm standing there, it's like if I see a girl put the car in reverse, it's like okay, this car's moving. She might be, I'm just getting out of the way of the car. Like she may be fleeing. I'm not like, oh, my life is in danger. She's gonna try and kill me. I'm getting out of the way of the car because I see the car, going to reverse. So now the car's, moving. Potentially she's reversing to, leave out of there, which she was. Like I said, man, listen, we can disagree on it. But to me, I think the more important piece of this is that, it's really dividing the country. And I feel like the greatest issue that we have right now is this Jewish power control, and we're not going to fucking beat that by fighting each other. And this idea that it's the fucking Muslims are the problem, or it's the left is the fucking problem, or it's blacks or whatever. Like people can be causing problems, but they can be not the root cause of a lot of these issues. And so to me, I feel like so much of this is a distraction of what's really going on. It's a distraction from the Epstein files. It's a distraction from our fucking, politicians that are clearly occupied and under the control of a foreign government. Like those are my issues. It's not some fucking blue-haired idiots, protesting. It's not, some fucking idiots, that are upset about this or people trying to say it's the Muslims. Like I feel like we have one clear problem, and all this shit just seems to be a big fucking distraction away from that clear problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, they asked me about it and I gave my take on it. And I think, most lawyers would agree with me, especially from a self-defense perspective. The guy is going to be cleared. He didn't break the law. The woman fucked around and found out. It's unfortunate someone lost their life. But if we're going to go off of legal precedent and the law in general and use of force and law enforcement tactics, the guy pretty much went right by the book, man. And he's going to get cleared by this. Like we can object to it morally. We can have our grievances. We can have our issues with it. But at the end of the day, um, he acted in a manner that was reasonable given the facts and circumstances known to him at the time that he shot. And that's what he's going to be judged on. He's not going to be judged on, hey, you could have moved out the way, or hey, this was a woman, this is fucked up. She was only going this many miles per hour. None of that matters. Our opinions don't really matter here. He's going to be judged on is what was known to him at the time, and he's going to get cleared of this. Like, this is I'm actually surprised that so many people are like, trying to argue this from a perspective of morality or 2020 hindsight, when this happens all the time, where
I mean,
if
what
you let
about
a car
Randy
to die.
Weaver? What about Randy Weaver? What about all the other instances where, the government has basically just murdered its citizens and there was, no recourse? What about, I'm sure you're familiar with what happened in Waco. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with, the Ruby Ridge incident. Like, there's been numerous times when three-letter agencies have literally murdered U.S. citizens, and I think it's just like a scary precedent to set, especially when you recognize that this time the government does not have your fucking best interest in mind. So this whole thing of like, oh, well, let's just trust the government and it's legal,
Well, I'm
as
not
per
saying
the
to trust the
government.
government. I'm not saying to trust the government. I'm going off of just this incident alone, based on the facts and circumstances of this particular case, based on what was going on. This is a clean shoot.
Yeah, I mean, like this is to me, it's a bigger issue, right? Like, is this, is this guy technically, legal? Is it going to be cleared? Whatever. That to me isn't as important as kind of like the overarching issue of like we should not be trusting our government. We should not be giving our government more power. We should not be allowing the government to fucking kill U.S. citizens. Under what I mean, listen, if this was an illegal that was resisting, that's a completely different scenario. This is a female U.S. citizen, whether you like her or not. Like our country,
Yeah, but
is
she committed
founded.
a felony. She literally committed a
Oh,
felony and
okay,
tried to run away.
people resist arrest all the time. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean you shoot them in the head. Like people
Well, it
fucking
wasn't
flee
just
the
resisting.
police.
It wasn't just the resisting arrest. It was her impeding them in their official duty. She had been there, like
I mean,
blocking them
that's
off.
fine, but you don't kill people for that. Like throw her in jail, make an example out of her. Fine, no
That's
problem.
what they
But
tried to do, but she didn't comply. Like that's see, like bro, we got to put some onus on the individual here. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, they gave her lawful commands. She didn't listen. They warned her, and then they shot her. And this
yeah,
is
but
why,
I
like,
don't think that escalation is warranted. I think like her fleeing does not warrant an execution. I think her trying to drive away doesn't warrant an execution, even if she bumped the guy. Like I don't know. To me, I'm looking at the situation from the lens of an American citizen, and like, do I want my government to have this much power that they can just start killing fucking citizens just because they're allowed to by letter of the law? Because to me, I'm looking at that guy. I'm like, if I'm in that situation, I don't feel like she's trying to kill me. I don't feel like my life is in danger. I just don't. The car's fucking going 2 miles an
that's
hour.
you. That's
I mean,
you.
bro, the car's going two
But
miles an
yeah,
hour.
but remember, Dan, that's you. That's not the guy. This is a very subjective situation where you might not feel that way, but he might have felt like his
Well,
life was in
let me
danger.
ask you this: if you're in that situation, do you feel like she's trying to? Do you feel in fear of your life, or are you just going to sidestep?
Again, everybody is different, right? I told you
No, no,
earlier.
but I'm asking you, yeah, because look, you were in law enforcement. I value your opinion. I trust you. I think you're, pretty morally sound. So I'm just curious if you're in his spot. Do you fucking shoot her 3 times, or do you step out of the way and then pursue her and arrest her?
Well, again, I don't know all the facts and circumstances that led to him pulling out the gun and shooting, but I mean, given what I saw, he did act in a reasonable fashion. I think what he did was absolutely reasonable and proportionate to what he was dealing with, and I think bodily injury was, you can argue, was absolutely imminent, and he reacted the way that he did. Does it mean that it's the perfect decision? No. Does it mean? But it's definitely not the wrong decision that he made. I mean, he could have went about it in a different way. Use of force is never perfect, but given all the facts and circumstances, his response to what happened was absolutely reasonable.
I just feel like in that situation, shooting her does not eliminate the danger to you and it doesn't eliminate danger to other people. I actually think it escalates it on both sides. I think it takes away your ability to get out of the situation. And I think it takes away, others, safety if she barrels through an intersection and hits another fucking car, or those bullets can go through the glass, like, I mean, if they contact her, they still, 9 millimeters exit hollow point or not, and he didn't hit her all 3 times. So, one of those stray shots could have easily ricocheted off the glass and hit an officer, hit a bystander, whatever. So I just think he put himself in more danger, and I think he put people around him in more danger. And obviously, the woman that he shot, he put in grave danger. So to me,
Yeah, but
I
that's
think,
from a 2020 perspective. You know what I
well,
mean?
but
Again,
when you're
and
in the
that's not what he's not going to
situation,
be judged in. He's not going
I
to be judged on
just,
that.
I mean, listen, when I was, a cop, I mean, anytime I was in a situation, I mean, I'm like considering if you shoot, you don't shoot into a crowd, right? Like if somebody's running away, you know, or somebody's, you know, shooting at you and there's tons of fucking innocent people behind them, you might not take the shot. You know what I mean? Like those are things that you have to take into account as an officer. Is like, are you going to, you know, put other people in danger? If you got a, you know, an M4 and you're on full auto, you're not just going to like rip a fucking, you know, burst into a crowd, right? Even if there's a bad guy there. I'm just saying, like, I think you have to take into account your surroundings. It's a residential neighborhood, you know, I don't know. I mean, to me, those are factors I'm taking into account when I'm going into the interaction. You know, if his hand's on his gun, he's considering using it. When you're considering using your gun, you take that stuff into account. Like, to me, if I felt like there was any risk of her running me down, I wouldn't even be in front of the car. Like, I'd be coming from the side. And, you know, that's one of the things they do teach you in training is to not stand in front of vehicles, especially, you know, if it's not in park or you think there's a chance that, you know, she could flee. So, you know, that's my perspective on it.
Well, yeah, like I said, he didn't expect that. You can see he's clearly surprised. He tries to get out the way. But that, again, you know, that's on her for doing that, right? All law enforcement can really do is respond to the actions of the individuals. And if they put themselves in a situation where the officer can reasonably believe that their life is in danger, then they can use deadly force. And that's what ended up happening here. And that was a really bad decision by her to do that. This is why it's so important to, you know, if the cops give you commands, like deal with the legal bullshit in a courtroom. Don't sit there and resist and put yourself in a precarious situation and potentially get yourself hurt like she did. It just wasn't really smart what she did on her end. It was very...
Yeah, I mean, nobody's arguing what she did was intelligent. It's just the question is, did he, you know, make himself safer? Did he make the other people around him safer by his actions? I would argue the opposite on both. So that's how I kind of look at it, is like, you know, does shooting her, you know, keep him any safer? I actually think that it doesn't, right? Because
But you're speaking from a 2020 hindsight perspective once again.
well, I mean, just in general, if somebody's
that's it, we can look at the footage. Like you're speaking from a 2020, which is like that's not.
Well, no, I mean, I just my reaction would not be to draw my gun and shoot her. My reaction would be to get out of the way of the car. Like if I didn't feel like there was an imminent threat, if I didn't feel like she had a gun, I wouldn't even have my hand on my gun. Like it just wouldn't be.
And that's your decision to make, but that doesn't necessarily mean that his response, though different than yours, wasn't reasonable. And I think that's
But what I'm saying is shooting somebody that's, you know, potentially going to run you over doesn't save you.
That's irrelevant. What's relevant is it reasonable and was it proportionate? And the answer is yes. Like just because you don't agree with it and you wouldn't have done that, that's totally fair and valid. However, that does not disqualify the fact that the way that he acted was absolutely reasonable according to the law. You don't have to like it or agree with it, but it was reasonable.
Well, yeah, I'm not arguing the lawfulness of it, right? Because you can argue the car is a, you know, deadly weapon.
I'm not going off of morality, anything. I'm strictly going off of lawfulness. Like, did he behave in a reasonable manner given what was occurring at that time and place and that short brief of time? And the answer is yes, and that's what matters. You know, we can say, hey, just move out the way. You could have done this. You could have done it another way. Use of force is never perfect, but was it reasonable? The answer is yes, and that's what the courts are going to judge him on, and that's all that matters, honestly. None of our opinions matter. What matters was it reasonable? And I think that's what the law worries about. And that's the only position I'm arguing from. Like I'm arguing what he did was reasonable. But I do got to go, guys. It was good discussion. It's always good to hear other perspectives. I see your perspective, Dan, for sure. But yeah, I think from a lawful perspective, I think it was reasonable. But yeah, cool. I'll talk to you guys because I really do got to run here.
Fair enough, man. It was good chat with you, brother.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It always is.
Appreciate it.
I hope people enjoyed the conversation.
And thanks for giving us your expertise as well. Really do value it all the time.
Yeah, no problem.